Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Anytime you ask me what the season is, I will tell you in India, it's the political season. Because politics in India goes on all 12 months, all 52 weeks of the year. But seasons change. This is the spring season. I might feel conflicted given how beautiful the spring season is, particularly in North India, because we've just got rid of a hard winter. And these are the few weeks of respite before a hard summer, a harsher summer. Now, it may be so in North India, but in many other parts of India, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, Assam, it is very, very hot weather because each state is now seeing a very tough election campaign. Now, we keep talking about the elections. Just yesterday, we had talked about Assam and we tried to dissect the Assam politics, the mix of ethnicity, religion, regions within the state for you. Today, we'll talk about no one state, but we'll talk about some very interesting, fascinating and peculiar phenomena of Indian politics that we see in these elections. So, if I were to give a headline to this episode of Cut the Clutter, usually I would have said this happens only in Indian politics. So, keep counting these and I will maybe think of some headlines as I go ahead. So, first of all, look at, you can call it contradictions of Congress or confusions of Congress. So, you have the Congress party, India's second largest party, still owns 20% of the vote. It's a lot of vote, nearly 12.5 crore votes in the last election when BJP got about 23 crore votes. So, not that few, but many more than anybody else in India. That Congress party, look at the two key situations it's involved in. In Kerala, that's one state where it logically should see a chance of coming back to power because Kerala usually has a pendulum situation. One term LDF, one term UDF, Left Democratic Front, United Democratic Front. UDF led by Congress, LDF led by the CPM. So, this is the CPM rule right now, the incumbent is CPM. CPM is here, so you would expect, the Congress would expect the pendulum to swing and UDF to come to power. So, Congress is fighting a big tough battle in Kerala and would believe that, should believe that it has a good chance, logical chance of coming back to power. Who's its rival? Its rival is the left front led by the CPM. Now, in the neighborhood, just next door in Tamil Nadu, Congress party is a secondary partner in a coalition which is the front runner to win, and that is the DMK led front. Congress party there has 25 seats out of 234, just a little over, notionally over 10%, because Congress party has become quite marginal. Last time it was 40 seats, they contested 40. This time, after a lot of jostling, they've got 25. But now the equation changes. Equation changes in the sense that the same left front who the Congress is fighting bitterly in the adjoining state of Kerala, bitterly. Kerala elections are very tough. We somehow don't cover these adequately in our national press, but these are very heavily, very fiercely contested elections. But just across the land border from Kerala between Tamil Nadu, you know, Kerala and Tamil Nadu have a long border. Kerala, if anything, has a small border with Karnataka at the other end, at the northern end, but rest of it is all Tamil Nadu. So, in Tamil Nadu, Congress and the left front are on the same side. So, Congress has 25 seats, CPI and CPM have 6 seats each in the same alliance because those are the seats that DMK has allotted to them. So, how can you be fighting one front on one side of the same state, of a state border, of a land border, and this side you be their partners? You think this is not contradictory enough? I will take you to yet another place, and this is quite far away from Tamil Nadu or Kerala. So, come to West Bengal. In the West Bengal, Congress party and the left front actually have a direct alliance of their own. So, they have a direct alliance of their own, and who are they fighting? They are fighting not so much the BJP, but they are fighting Mamata Banerjee. Okay, you might say that BJP is the main challenger to Mamata Banerjee, And these two parties, both of which have ruled West Bengal in the past by themselves. So both have been big powers, but right now they are just a rump of what they used to be. So just burnt out ash of what used to be a formidable force in the case of either of them. Now they are together and they've also thrown their hat in the ring. What that means is that they are now making common cause there against not just the BJP but also against Mamata Banerjee, whose party is in the forefront of fighting the BJP and whose traditional enemy in West Bengal is the left front. And in fact, until she broke away from the Congress and formed her own party, Congress's only rival in West Bengal was the left front. So think of the contradictions of this party. In one state, it's fighting the left for a realistic chance of coming to power, important state of Kerala. In the adjoining state, it is a secondary partner with a leading party, local party, but in the same alliance, it also has a chota secondary partner, which is the left front. So you fight them on one side of the border, you work with them on the other side of the border, and then you go to West Bengal where it makes common cause with the left. And in fact, that is what the BJP is saying repeatedly. BJP leaders are saying this all the time in West Bengal, that how can you trust the Congress party? In this place, they have the left front as their partners. In Kerala, they are fighting the left front. So that is the contradictions of the Congress. Now, let me come to the next point. Next point is NCP. And what headline do I give you? I can only say miracles of Sharad Pawar or miracles of Nationalist Socialist Party. Now, NCP, as we know, was formed in 1999 when Sharad Pawar, Tariq Anwar and Purno Sangma were expelled from the Congress party for questioning the rise of Sonia Gandhi as the leader of the party. They said at that point that somebody born overseas, quote unquote, a foreigner, cannot be the head of the Congress party. And they left and in the course of time set up their own party. Now, it is a party of miracles, and I will tell you the reason I am talking today about this. The reason I am talking today specifically about this, that if you go back to Kerala, we were just talking about Kerala, one prominent Congress leader in Kerala, PC Chacko. PC Chacko was the sitting MP from Thrissur. PC Chacko quit the Congress. He quit the Congress because he said he was frustrated by factional fights in the party, in the state. And I will tell you about the factions. That is one more story today. So he got fed up of that and he left the Congress party and he said, I'm not going to join the BJP, because immediately people thought that when leaders leave the Congress party now, they usually head for the BJP, because that means a Ganga Snan, they are cleansed of all their sins, and that also means they might get something in return. But PC Chacko is not going to the BJP. He kept his promise. He, on the other hand, has gone ahead and joined NCP, Sharad Pawar's party. Now think about it. NCP and Congress are partners nationally. They have national seat sharing arrangement in Lok Sabha elections. They are partners in Lok Sabha. They are part of UPA. They are partners in Maharashtra in the MVA government, that is Shiv Sena, NCP and Congress, in the order in which their numbers stack up in the assembly. So Shiv Sena is about 56 or 57, NCP is 54, Congress is about 10 less than that. So there again, they are partners in the government. But in this case, a prominent Congress leader leaves in Kerala, which is heading for elections, and defects to the NCP, which is a partner of the Congress. At the same time, NCP can continue to be a partner of the Congress. Sharad Pawar can continue attending parliament, as does his daughter, and as do his other MPs, and they can work alongside Congress MPs as members of UPA. So these are the marvels or miracles of NCP. No other party in the country, I believe, can do something like this, because even in the last Manipur elections, where Congress had a big stake, NCP put up its own candidates. I think it put up 6 candidates, and one, if I remember correctly, had won. But the fact is that if NCP had joined hands with the Congress, Congress was just a few short. In fact, in a small assembly, Congress had got 21 seats, the opposition party had got 20 seats at BJP. Only Congress had one more. If Congress had 5 or 6 or 7 more, because 30 is the halfway mark, then the political history of the state would have been different. But again, NCP did not work with the Congress. Similarly, in the last Gujarat Assembly elections also, NCP set up its candidates against the Congress and the BJP. And if you see the number of votes the NCP got in those 6 or 7 states, that could have made a difference to the final tally of about 4 or 5 seats and maybe more. And if that had happened, again the history of Gujarat might have changed. So what is the power of Sharad Pawar? The power of Sharad Pawar is he can either help you get power, as he has done in Maharashtra. He has favored both Congress and the Shiv Sena by giving them this power. He could have gone to the BJP and set up a coalition with them, but he's chosen to go with them. At the same time, he can deny you power. That is what he did in Gujarat and Manipur, and might do in other places also. Even this year in Assam elections, NCP is putting up its own candidate. So this is Sharad Pawar and NCP who can work such a miracle that they can fight on all sides. They can fight with all sides, they can fight against all sides, and yet they can be important to all sides. So PC Chacko joining NCP is our second headline of complexities of Indian politics that we must understand and we must talk about often in Cut the Clutter. Now, a peculiar story of Congress in Kerala. I told you that I will come back to the PC Chacko story. Now, we talked about contradictions of Congress. That is at the larger ideological level, because Congress has lack of ideological cohesion. Congress top leadership seems very impressed by Sitaram Yechuri and the left and seems to be going in that direction, but at the same time they are fighting them. In Kerala, once again, that gets further complicated given the fact that Pinarayi Vijayan's CPM in Kerala runs pretty much like itself or by itself. It's not so much bound by any high command discipline or ordering or diktats. Nevertheless, Congress has its own fascinating history in Kerala as well. And this is a very peculiar story. When PC Chacko quit, he said there were factions. And what were the factions? Congress I and Congress A. So what is Congress I and what is Congress A in Kerala? So you might say Congress I know about when Mrs. Gandhi split the Congress. A long time back, Indira Gandhi split the Congress and a lot of the old guard left. After 77, after the parliament elections, the new party that came up, that was Congress I. I for Indira, all right. So Congress I came in and another faction of Congress came in, which at that point was called Congress Ers. Congress U or Congress Ers, that was named after Devraj Ers, who became Chief Minister of Karnataka, also quite a tall leader of Karnataka, because Congress used to be very strong in the south those days. So Congress Ers came in post 1977. Ramesh Chennithala, he has been a part of Congress I. So today, if you look at Congress I and Congress A in Kerala, the leader of Congress I, that faction, today is Ramesh Chennithala. The leader of Congress A later came to stand for Antony, is Oommen Chandy. So usually when the Congress party divides seats in state elections, half go to this, half go to this, then each half works very hard at getting the candidates of the other half defeated. That is the story of the Congress party in Kerala. So see how this progressed. So this Congress Ers came in. Congress Ers, Karunakaran was part of it. He became Chief Minister later. Ramesh Chennithala was part of it. Then this split and A.K. Antony took away his own party. A.K. Antony took away his own party. It became Congress A for some time. And then it morphed, the whole thing morphed into Congress S. S stands for Sharad Pawar. So that faction came to be headed by Sharad Pawar. Please note the fact that when this Congress A faction came in, Mr. PC Chacko was a member of it. So much so that in 1980, when A.K. Antony's faction Congress A split away, at that point, CPM came into power. The left front came into power under E.K. Nayanar. E.K. Nayanar became the chief minister, and A.K. Antony's faction joined that ministry against the Congress party, and PC Chako was a minister in that cabinet in the state. So E.K. Nayanar ministry lasted only 1 year, and in 1981, A.K. Antony faction, Congress A, joined the same Congress party, but the Congress party never gave up the two factions never gave up their DNA, and since then it has continued like a blood feud, generation to generation, from Karunakaran to his son Muralidharan, from A.K. Antony to Oommen Chandy, and that's where the Congress is caught there. They've never been able to settle it. It's got so interesting over time that High Command, because they know that each faction controls a bunch of votes and communities, the High Command balances between them. So even when they win power in Kerala, one faction gets the chief ministership, so the other faction must get the KPCC president's post, that is Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee president's post. So once again, this tamasha goes on, chief minister versus the KPCC president. 2001, for example, A.K. Antony became chief minister. Immediately, Karunakaran's son, K.P. Muralidharan, was made KPCC chief. So once again, A and I, they balanced each other. After that, Antony came to Delhi, as we know. 2004, UPA came to power. Antony was nearly in Delhi. Later, he became Defense Minister of India in the same UPA tenure. So Antony came to Delhi. Antony came to Delhi. His successor was his protege, Oommen Chandy, from Congress A faction. But even now, to balance this, the party president was Ramesh Chennithala. So once again, you had Oommen Chandy, Congress A, as chief minister, Chennithala, Congress I, as KPCC chief. So this tamasha continued. It was around that time that Karunakaran got disillusioned and he set up another party called Democratic Indira Congress K for Karunakaran. What else? And later in 2013, where did he go? He merged with NCP. So we talk about miracles of NCP. I give you one more example. Now, PC Chako is not a nobody. PC Chako, remember, he was the head, he was the chairman of the Joint Parliamentary Committee investigating the 2G scam, and he's somebody the opposition charged with having hijacked that report and having fixed that report to suit the Congress party. So he's been quite a Congress loyalist, and he's now gone to NCP. So normally you would have thought that if my friend comes and steals something that is really valuable to me, he walks into my house as a friend and steals something that's really valuable to me, I will really be angry and resentful. But this is the art and craft of NCP, that it manages to do it without any retribution, because it knows where it has leverage, and it has leverage with Congress, to counter which Congress has inadequate power, because Sharad Pawar can withdraw out of the Maharashtra coalition and easily go with the BJP if he so wishes, because he is very, very flexible in his politics. The Congress, on the other hand, if they withdraw from Maharashtra government, then Sharad Pawar can still go with the BJP and get a government together. So that is where Sharad Pawar has the power, and he gets away with this, and that is where Congress party suffered from its confusion. So these things are linked. Now, as we conclude this episode, I have to tell you one more thing of the kind that can only happen in Indian politics. This happens only in Indian politics. We know that BJP just pulled down the Puducherry government, Congress party government in Puducherry. That government is gone. BJP was not able to form a government because it didn't have any MLAs there. So they thought, let there be a fresh election and we'll see who comes to power. But BJP really wants that state, because BJP wants a second state in the south. And Puducherry, for all practical purposes, is a Tamil state. So the BJP thinks that if they have a foothold in a Tamil state, it may be a state of less than 2 million people. It will mean something for them in the south, and maybe they can use that as a springboard tomorrow for Tamil Nadu, because they really want that state and they are not going to win that state this time. So what have they done? It's a crazy phenomenon, and I picked it up from a frontline correspondent's Twitter handle, Mr. Radhakrishnan's Twitter handle. See his tweet, and it's quite a revelation. It also tells you how little we so-called political pundits sitting in Delhi know about the nuances of national politics in distant parts of the country. In Puducherry, in the last election, BJP had got only 2.5% of the vote. Only 2.5%, precisely 2.54% of the vote. Having got that, they've now given themselves 9 seats in the coalition with ADMK and the local party, which is AINRC. I will tell you about that. So they've given them 9 seats. It's a lot in a house of just 30. Puducherry is a very small state, house of just 30 and 3 nominated members. So 9 out of 30 is a lot for a party that got 2.5% votes the last time. But the more important thing is, now AIADMK, which last time got 16% of the vote in the state assembly, did not win, Congress won. 16% vote in the state assembly is contesting only 6 seats. So how do you explain this? Party that got 2.5% vote has 9 seats. Party that got 16% votes has 6 seats. That tells you that BJP is using its overwhelming power of Delhi, the agencies, the money, everything to get this complete sweetheart deal out of ADMK. So if this coalition comes to power, in this one, BJP could have more members than ADMK. And third, of course, is the leading local party there, which is the AINRC. AINRC also is a faction formerly from the Congress, because N. Rangaswamy, who formed this party, he pulled out of the Congress. So what is his party? AINRC is All India NR Congress. What does NR stand for? N. Rangaswamy, my name. So I split out of the Congress party. I formed one more Congress party. I name it after myself. So this is again one of those things that you can find, you cannot find easily in democratic politics anywhere. That the party which got 2.5% vote now contests 1/3 the seats. Party that had 16% of the vote now contests 1/5 the seats, 9 against 6.